welcome to Kansas Ag Report. On this week's program, we review the winter wheat harvest in Kansas with Marsha Boswell, Kansas Wheat. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, more from Kansas Wheat and the Kansas Farm Bureau, along with our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leading in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online, kswheat.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future of Kansas corn. Online, kscorn.com. In agricultural news from agview.net, USDA released its 2019 land values survey and showed land values nationwide on the rise, but the American Farm Bureau said that's not entirely the case. They note their own market intel analysis that land values and farm rents have gone the opposite direction in some parts of the country. The USDA report says that the U.S. farm real estate value averaged $3,160 an acre. That includes the value of all land and buildings on farms. Now that's a rise of $60 an acre, or just shy of 2% over 2018. The U.S. cropland value averaged $4,100 an acre, $50 higher than the previous year, a jump of about 1.2%. Now in Kansas, farm real estate value for 2019 averaged $1,960 an acre, up $110 per acre. That's 6% from last year. Cropland values increased 5% from last year to $2,160 an acre. Now the dryland cropland value averaged $2,050 an acre, $90 higher than last year. Now irrigated cropland value, $3,320 an acre, $340 above a year ago. Pasture land, $1,390 an acre, $70 higher than the previous year. And cash rents paid for landlords in 2019 for cropland, it decreased from last year. Irrigated cropland rent, $128 an acre, $3 that is, below last year. Dryland cropland rent averaged $57 an acre, $1 lower than a year ago. Pasture rented for cash averaged $19 an acre. That's 50 cents below what was given the previous year. Well, the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank says farm income and credit conditions are showing signs of stability. Its second quarter survey of farm lending conditions, the bank says higher corn prices and trade relief payments could have contributed to a slower pace of decline in expectations for farm income and credit. Now, although farm income was expected to decrease in the third quarter of 2019, the pace of decline expected to be its slowest since 2014, slightly more than 40%. The bankers reported that farm income was lower, compared with about 75% and 60% at the same time in 2016 and 2017. In addition, district bankers report that deposits grew at a faster pace in some states while farmland values remained steady. And demand for ag lending in the district remains high, but bankers are anticipating slower growth in the future months. The 10th district, by the way, includes parts of Missouri and New Mexico, along with Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. By the way, it is the second largest Federal Reserve district. Find more ag news online, agview.net. Stay with us. We have more coming up. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web, oldeseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. More at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
And joining us this week is Marsha Boswell with Kansas Wheat. And Marsha, we're kind of wrapping up the Kansas wheat harvest. You can go online to find the specifics as we learn more as we go through. But also, Kansas wheat the last few years, literally going out in the field and talking with farmers, doing some ride-alongs. But with that, with this explosion continuing on social media, you all kind of help tell that story of the Kansas wheat farmer.
We do. We spend a lot of time during harvest out riding along in the combine. We've done some like Facebook Live videos and interviews with farmers, just kind of talking about what farming means to them and sharing the story of the American wheat farmer with consumers. And throughout the harvest season, we do that, but we also do it throughout the whole year. For example, in June, we had the National Festival of Breads. So we brought in 8 finalists from across the U.S. who baked their products, and then we named a champion, and that was open to the public. So we had about 3,500 people who came to Manhattan and attended that event, yes.
It's quite something. It's really kind of grown into quite a thing, especially if you're into that, really into that baking deal. It's pretty stiff competition.
It is, and like I said, that's a national competition, so all of our finalists are from, I think, from the West Coast to the East Coast we had this year. So 8 finalists, and they came in. We took them out to a wheat farm. We took them to a flour mill. They got to tour the Innovation Center. So they got that whole field to flour experience while they were in Kansas.
Talk about the importance. Why is that for some of these influential bakers, these influencers in that world to get that broader picture other than just, here's my bag of flour?
Yeah, and so this year's National Festival of Breads was the first year that we opened it up to food bloggers as well as home bakers. We had 2 different divisions. And so as those food bloggers have an audience that follows along, that trusts what they say, it's really beneficial to get them out to the farm, and then they can share that story with their followers and answer questions as people say, well, why is the farmer doing something this way? Or, oh, I didn't know that about farming, or I didn't know that about the flour mill. They're able to share that story. And so, we can't take every consumer out to a farm and let them ride in a combine, but we can share that story through social media.
Speaking of sharing stories, one of the big events coming up, the Kansas State Fair, in just a few weeks now, and really in one of those buildings, Kansas Wheat is showcased. Yes,
we're in the Pride of Kansas building, and so every year we have our new recipe book that's out by the State Fair. And this year's book is going to feature those 8 winning recipes from the National Festival of Breads. And so come on out to the Pride of Kansas building, pick up your new recipe book, and learn more about wheat farmers and the flour that goes into those products.
I think there's some treats too, if I remember right. You got to stop by.
Yeah, we usually have all kinds of fun giveaways as well.
Right, well, great. Well, Marsha, again, we appreciate the time talking to us about this year's wheat harvest and the activities, what's going on, maybe outside of what we typically think of what y'all do here at Kansas Wheat, so thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Marsha Boswell with Kansas Wheat has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. And AgView.net, covering news and views in the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt. Reliable and relevant, agview.net.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Well, joining us now is Marsha Boswell. She's with Kansas Wheat, and we're going to spend our time talking about this year's Kansas wheat harvest. And Marsha, I would guess we could say it was with a tale of two harvests, but I think most farmers will say it was the harvest that would never start, then it would never end.
Right. The harvest was about 2.5 weeks behind normal this year. But a lot of times when harvest is delayed because of rain, it does affect quality. And this year, it just wasn't mature until about 2.5 weeks later than normal. So we still had some great quality wheat out there.
Let's maybe give the overall picture, the highlights. We just heard a lot of reports of farmers saying once they got in the field, one of the best crops they've ever had.
Yeah, and it was almost two different crops from central Kansas to western Kansas. Pretty much the whole state had a lot of rain this year, but in the central part of the state, they had a lot of standing water that did kind of drown out some of those areas. And so in the central part of the state, they had some great wheat minus those mud holes. In the western third of the state, they didn't have those mud holes, and so they just had really excellent yields in that part of the state.
It seemed like we got started really early, kind of in the southeast, kind of normal almost, and then the rains came, and then everything kind of stopped. But then when it got going, it's like almost everybody was going at the same time. We had reports from southwest Kansas all the way up to the Kansas-Nebraska border. Farmers were trying to get the crop in.
You know, in most parts of the state, July 4th, they're wrapping up harvest, and a lot of places were just getting started around that time.
That was us. I think we celebrated the 4th of July. Normally we celebrate being done, but we got started in fact after, right there along the state line. So quite something. Early indications are as far as quality. Once we kind of got the facts and figures, did it bode with what farmers saw in the field?
So test weights were excellent, over 60 pounds per bushel. Protein was a little bit lower than normal, which is a lot of times when we see some of those high yields, protein is going to be a little bit lower. But what we've seen from reports from like Plains Grains Inc. is that protein is not as low as maybe we thought originally it would be, like in that 10.5 to 11 range. And there are pockets where it's 13. So I think there's going to be plenty of wheat available out there.
We're talking with Marsha Boswell with Kansas Wheat. We'll take a break and be back with more in just a moment. Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
So we're talking about the Soil Health Partnership. This has been a really key activity because what we're doing is partnering with Kansas Corn, but we're developing research information on working farms. And so instead of small plots that we do at Kansas State, or many researchers do, we're looking at large 5-10 acre strips to really test in the field information on soil health. The idea behind it is that it's large and that it's at commercial scale, so that we can understand not only what the farmer is getting from yield, but we'll also be able to track changes in soil health over a 5 or 10 year period. Kansas Corn Soil Partnership is key in not only can we get information for research, but then like today we have this field day and we can show farmers, other people are attending that aren't farmers, the idea what is soil health and what it means not only to the farmer but to the ag industry as a whole. It has environmental benefits, it has benefits to the farm, and we're able to collect that information and share that to other farmers.
You don't have to be a farmer or rancher to become a Kansas Farm Bureau member. Anyone can join. As a member, you'll get discounts on things like hotels and entertainment, health and wellness services, cell phone plans, and more. You'll also strengthen the lives of your fellow Kansans and help build strong, prosperous communities through agriculture advocacy and education. Join us today. Visit kfb.org/join to learn more.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
There were several hail reports during the months of June and July in Kansas, impacting wheat that had not yet been harvested. Hailed out fields required different management considerations depending on hail intensity. A hail event might affect the subsequent crop as well, especially in the case of wheat, where the hail results in many seeds that may later become volunteer wheat. Where wheat suffered hail damage after heading, volunteer wheat often emerges even before the existing field is harvested, as much as 2 to 3 weeks earlier than it normally would emerge. If volunteer wheat is not controlled throughout the summer and is infested with wheat curl mites, the mites will survive until fall and could infest newly planted wheat at that time. Wheat curl mite infestations in wheat often lead to wheat streak mosaic infections. Where wheat was hailed out and volunteer emerged prior to harvest, control should begin immediately after harvest if possible. If volunteer has emerged and is still alive shortly after harvest in hailed out wheat, wheat curl mites could easily build up rapidly and spread to other volunteer wheat that emerges later in the season. Controlling early emerging volunteer shortly after harvest will greatly help in breaking the green bridge. If more volunteer wheat emerges later in the summer, follow-up control will still be needed. While hailed out fields may require one more field pass than normal to control volunteer wheat, it will help prevent even bigger problems down the road. Grazing volunteer is not an effective option because there is green wheat material left, and the mites can be living in that material.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
I'm Derek Schmidt, the Kansas Attorney General. I'm excited to have been on days 2 and 3 of the Kansas Farm Bureau tour. We were in Great Bend and Dodge and now Scott City. And you know, it's always refreshing to see the cutting edge of technology applied to production agriculture in Kansas, from high-tech water systems to just a good dinner last night. And then, of course, all that they're doing with sorghum and niche marketing to meet new consumer demands out here in Scott City. So, Kansas Farm Bureau is critical to helping Kansas farmers feed the world and to make sure we can do it in a way that works for the 21st century while keeping our traditions from the past. And it's great to be part of it. As a kid, you always saw the signs on the fences and knew about things that Farm Bureau was doing to support members. And then once I got working in public policy, I've been able to work with Farm Bureau really since the start of my career. Back when I was a Senate staffer, much younger days, and then as chairman of the Senate Ag Committee, the State Senate Agriculture Committee in the legislature, and now as Attorney General. Farm Bureau says truthfully that it's the voice of Kansas agriculture. And we all rely on Farm Bureau to make sure that ag's voice is heard.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
The Ballou Partnership of Castleton has been named one of 7 regional finalists for the Environmental Stewardship Award. Brothers CJ and Russell Ballou operate the cow-calf business, which owns and leases land in Reno, Chase, and Barber counties. Regional winners will compete for the national award, which will be announced early next year during the Cattle Industry Convention in San Antonio, Texas. Grass production and grazing capacity on the Barber County ranch were greatly enhanced when the Ballous installed an improved water distribution system, cross-fencing, and conducted an aggressive cedar tree control project. Their efforts to reduce the estimated 23 to 40% cedar canopy were expedited when the Anderson Creek wildfire went through the ranch in 2016. With the devastation, however, came benefits, as streams that had dried up due to water consumption by the cedars began to flow again and native grasses were restored. Since then, they have conducted prescribed burns on different 2,000 to 3,000 acre sections of the ranch each year. Russell Ballou said sustainability is the driving force behind the strategy used to manage their cow herd and land resources. Regional winners were announced July 30th during the Cattle Industry Summer Conference in Denver. The Environmental Stewardship Award was established in 1991 by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
My name is Aaron with Paragon Ag, and I'm here to talk about the cash grain markets. Corn basis has been stagnant here lately. Several weeks ago, it was showing signs of wanting to get stronger, but as we progress toward harvest, buyers are backing off. The USDA reports are not helping matters either, with better than expected reports coming out. USDA has corn at 57% good to excellent. They raised the yield estimate by 3.5 bushels to 169.5 bushels per acre. Corn production estimates is at 13.9 billion bushels, up 26 million bushels from the last report. Bean values have also been weak, even to weaker lately. There are some values available for people to take advantage of into Oklahoma or Kansas City markets, but they are few and far between. You may be able to also find values into end users or exporters, but there isn't a ton of push out there. Eastern Kansas beans are looking pretty good from what I can see. Weather has become favorable with mild to warm temperatures, and the occasional inch or two of rain will help finish these beans off nicely. The USDA has bean condition at 54% good to excellent this week. Crop production reports for beans was a bit more bullish. They lowered the production forecast 165 million bushels to 3.68 billion bushels. Wheat basis is hanging in there to a bit weaker overall. Protein premiums are available for wheat that has protein, generally from what I am seeing, 2 up, 4 down a fifth from 11s or something right around there. 12s seem to be hard to come by. Anyone with 12s in the bin will definitely be able to pick up some values with them. If you have any other questions or are looking for some selling advice, give us a shout at 888-452-8751.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us online at KansasAgReport.net. Like us on Facebook, Kansas Ag Report Television Show. Follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching.
You don't have to be a farmer or rancher to become a Kansas Farm Bureau member. Anyone can join. As a member, you'll get discounts on things like hotels and entertainment, health and wellness services, cell phone plans, and more. You'll also strengthen the lives of your fellow Kansans and help build strong, prosperous communities through agriculture advocacy and education. Join us today. Visit kfb.org/join to learn more.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.